Now I think you can hear me. At least I hope you can now. I am trying to make sure that this all works properly. And let's see here. I think I'm going to get some audio now. And don't know if this is actually working or not. And I hope so. I hope you can hear me. If you're watching right now, drop a comment and let me know that you can actually hear me. I believe we are on the air. I know we're on the air right now. I'm just wondering if anybody can actually hear what I'm saying. We are live and excited to be on with you this evening, folks. It's Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. John Phillips here. I'm going to bring you some game highlights. We're going to talk about the Steelers game last night, obviously. What an incredible run by the Steelers last night in that fourth quarter. I mean, probably the most exciting regular season football game I've ever watched. I'm pretty certain of that. It was just a fabulous game, really was. In the end, give credit to the league. They knew that they wanted Steelers Ravens in this spot for all the marbles, and it just happens to be that the winner would continue on into the postseason, and the loser's year would be done. So the high drama with the Tyler Loop kick, the game-winning field goal going wide right, was sealing the deal for the Steelers, who take victory, and they are now playoff bound. Let's go to the highlights, if you would be so kind. We will do that for you right now. We're going to show you some game highlights, and it was quite an exciting crowd last night at Acrisure Stadium. And we're going to bring that to you now. Some of these game highlights provided by NFL Films. Your current video setup is not permitted. That's crazy. Okay, well, I guess not. I wanted to bring you some highlights. I tried. Just wouldn't let me access everything. I'm learning is what I'm doing here. But we are going to have some sound from head coach Mike Tomlin and TJ Watt. If, again, you're watching us right now and you are able to hear us, hopefully you can drop a comment, and we would be very happy to hear from you. What more can you say about Aaron Rodgers? Boy, was, just having him on this roster has been an absolute difference maker. It's been a difference maker. You can talk about all the struggles of the past few seasons, and that includes, Ben's last year. It was quite obvious, even the last two, go back to 2019. We knew that he was at the end, and that the sledding would be tough. And as I've said before, for him to be able to just will his team to the playoffs in his final season was just an incredible thing to watch. But this effort that Aaron Rodgers has put forth has been nothing short of spectacular. Nothing short of spectacular. And yes, we are getting audio, which makes me happy. That you can hear me. For those of you that are jumping on here, we'll have comments in the box down here below. So if you've got something you want to say or ask, please let me know, and I'll be happy to talk about it. But to watch Aaron Rodgers operate this year has been a real pleasure. I mean, there have been a few down spots, and you're going to have those over the course of a 17-game season. Right, you have these over the course of a 17-game season. For his effort last night in 47 passing attempts, he threw the ball 47 times, folks. That's just a Herculean effort at 42. But the willingness to put it on his shoulders, especially in that fourth quarter, is really the difference in all of it. And that's what really drew me to him this year, is that he has it still. He has something still left in him, that he is now one of 14 starters heading into the postseason. Right, he had that, and it was a down division. Right, the division was down this year. Joe Burrow was hurt for, I think, 10 games. Right, and Cleveland is Cleveland. They're a total train wreck of an organization. They had their franchise quarterback, and they jettisoned him to the scrap heap. And now look at them. They're just a wreck. They're an absolute wreck. So, Pittsburgh, yeah, he's 42. He's at the end of his career, but I'll take it. I will take this, and I would take it gladly next year for one more season. And I'm going to tell you why. As Mean Green checks in here for a few minutes. Victory Monday today. Let's enjoy this one and celebrate. Mean Green, thank you for coming on board. Also, Dylan Green checking in, saying, here we go. Thanks for watching this evening, folks, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next hour of programming. I will take this next year. Right. I don't know what the answer is at quarterback. I don't know if there is an answer at quarterback next year in the draft. Right. I don't think anybody knows. And so if they and we'll talk tomorrow more about the Texans and matchups and thoughts, and we've got a 5-hour pregame show planned for you on Monday next week, live from the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. Boy, I can't wait to do another big 5-hour show. We had such a blast yesterday. 12 guests. I've already got what I think is maybe I've got this YouTuber. He's got almost 700,000 followers. He's from Pittsburgh. His name is Urinating Tree. You may have seen him. He has been a force du jour on YouTube for the past 10 years as a sports commentator, if you will. He's a native of Pittsburgh. He's committed to coming on the show. Which is great because we just hit 100 followers. We just hit 100 subs on our YouTube channel. I'm so happy. Like I had no idea where this was going to go this year. And the guy is just, he's like, you know what? I love doing shows like this because I was at 100 subs once, and he's just, his content is great. I just found him maybe about 2 weeks ago, and I reached out to him, and he got to my message. The guy's probably swamped with, he's got 130,000 people on X, and he's got followers on massive following on YouTube. And Mean Green has been following the Steelers for a long time. I'm glad you're enjoying it for sure. I have to tell you right now, I'm excited to have Urinating Tree on in our pregame show next week. He's a busy guy. He's got a big stream. He'll stream like right before the game and then through the game. I've really learned a lot about the YouTubers who cover the Steelers or do Steeler content. It's been really fascinating. Most of the season, I've been immersed in my construction life, and but last night I went down a rabbit hole after the game, and I spent some time on YouTube, and I see what the guys that are doing this, and it's all men generally speaking. I haven't seen any women doing it, but I've got a good taste of why this has been the preferred choice of people as opposed to trying to get a career at the Fan or trying to work at maybe ESPN. The whole thing where you get yourself 10, 15, 20, 30, 50,000 followers, and these guys are literally doing play-by-play. They'll do like an hour or two of pregame, and then they'll just talk about the game through the course. They'll literally do play-by-play, and the graphics are great. And obviously with monetization and people paying for comments, they just sit there and stream for 6 or 7 hours and and have a blast. And it's great. The new form of media is truly here now. It has been for quite some time. And I'm just glad to be, have my little part in it. This is more of a vanity project than anything for me. But I'll just be honest with you. I'm going to continue to add more programming, and we're going to build this channel out with good content and programming. It's Pittsburgh related, and we're glad you're along for the ride. Dylan Green saying you love the content. I'm glad to see you'll be adding more. I appreciate you, Dylan. I'm excited. We'll have some more announcements over the next few months about what we're actually doing. Bo Sox fan in Florida. Boy, oh boy, Steeler Nation should send that kicker a thank you card. I always like your insight. Appreciate that, Bo Sox fan down in sunny Florida. Please send some of that Sarasota weather this way. I miss living down south. I lived in Charleston, South Carolina for 4 years, technically Somerville, and I miss this time of year down south. It's heaven. It's heaven. And I worked in Tampa for a while, and while I was in Charleston, I was kind of bouncing back and forth between offices and building construction offices for my company. Now back up here in the Northeast in my hometown. I'm not from Allison Park. I live in Allison Park now, but I'm happy to be up here in Pittsburgh again. I've kind of settled in now. I've kind of settled in now. It is what it is. Maybe in a few years I can go back down south, but very much it's been good. Like this type of season has been very wonky. They had 2 3 game winning streaks, and in between they just had, in the middle of all of that, they had a mess. And then of course the loss last week really sent everybody into a tailspin because it took that 3 game winning streak euphoria away, right? They lose that game to Buffalo, and they just got railroaded. And the next thing it's really like it was the worst, I think, in the Tomlin era. And then the 3 game winning streak and the way they finished things off has been nothing short of spectacular. But the Steelers do get the victory last night. It was very much a great effort all around. Obviously, Jalen Warren and Kenny Gainwell. What more can you say about those guys? I thought Pat Freiermuth should have been involved a little bit earlier, a little bit sooner than what he was. Just 3 catches for 51 yards, but that big catch down the middle of the field, and that set up the Gainwell touchdown. That fourth quarter sequence was just unbelievable. And Lamar Jackson, give him credit. That guy, I'm telling you, tough as nails. People want to talk about him and say things about him. He's a 2-time MVP for a reason. He was just gutty last night. I mean, I don't know how he avoided that Highsmith sack. He tore himself out of that tackle and got that ball downfield to Zay Flowers for that touchdown. It was one of the most remarkable plays I've seen by a quarterback in quite some time, but that's Lamar Jackson. And, the Ravens fans are frustrated, and I can sense that frustration for sure when you have a guy like that, a talent like that, and you can't capitalize with it. Bo Sox fan says he lives on the East Coast, but it is beautiful. And originally from Rhode Island, he is a big Steelers fan. He says, "Good luck to the Steelers, but go Patriots." And yeah, I do feel, you do feel bad for Lamar, but I mean, he's compensated fairly. He's compensated fairly, right? But yeah, you look, Dan Marino went to a Super Bowl in his second year, right, as quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. I was a teenager. It was 1986. He played Joe Montana in Super Bowl 19, and he never got back. It might have been, yeah, it was 86. It was Super Bowl 19. I'm pretty sure. It might have been 21. It might have been 21. Got to a Super Bowl and never went back after his second season. That's how it can be in the National Football League. All right. I want to bring you a few comments from the coach, Mike Tomlin. I also want to play a little bit of Aaron Rodgers and TJ Watt at 7:30. Jerry DePaula is going to join us. In the meantime, I want to roll this from Mike Tomlin's postgame presser last night. On the air. Okay, we're having issues with the audio. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure this one out. Sorry about that. Once you put Tomlin up, no sound on XFYI. Sorry about that, Bo Sox fan. All right. Well, I'm going to get this worked out eventually. I know that I'm trying to produce on my own. Bill Akins, who has been serving as my producer on Steel City Sunday, can't always rely on him, but we'll get the audio thing figured out at some point in time, hopefully for tomorrow night. But I'm going to try to incorporate more audio, more of these sorts of things than just myself in an hour of talk, although doing an hour really isn't that difficult. I can do that pretty much standing on my head. Okay, so obviously Tomlin last night was animated. For him, and I think for the most part that a coach like that at this stage in his career is pretty good at drowning out the white noise around him, right? We've talked about it on the pregame show. We've talked about his disdain for the media. He does play it up in some capacity, but Tomlin doesn't really care what anybody says, nor should he. Todd Haley's discussed that before in the past, that his father taught him early on that you got to shut that stuff out. It doesn't matter. What matters is in between the walls of where you're working and the players and the staff around you. And I firmly believe that. But I don't think he's immune to what was taking place, especially in that stadium when the Bills game was unfolding, because it was fairly clear and loud that the fans were very displeased, and it was addressed in the post-game presser right afterwards, and then again on Tuesday in his weekly press conference. So Mike Tomlin isn't immune to all of that. It certainly is something that does get through in spots here and there. But as I've always said, the players have always respected Mike Tomlin. They've always enjoyed playing for Mike Tomlin. Say what you want about the season in and of itself. It's the third straight 10-win season for the club. They get back into the playoffs, and in this particular case, their first AFC North championship since 2022. I'm glad that the audio on my end is much better, but we'll have to address that issue when bringing on sound a little bit later on after the show is at. Dylan Green says, I've been a Tomlin supporter, especially this season. I wish he would surround himself with better coaches. He has the smallest and cheapest staff in the NFL. That last part, Dylan, falls on Art Rooney II. I want to believe that Tomlin would like to have a bigger staff, but I don't know if that's the case. I think the ownership probably goes to him and says, here's your budget. And maybe Tomlin and Art talk a little bit about it. But I think, when you look at some of the other staffs in the National Football League, they're much larger, right? The other teams are willing to spend. Dallas is certainly one of them, right? Look at some other organizations that might spend more money. I think the Dolphins spend money on their organization. Buffalo, Detroit, right? The Rams in Los Angeles. These franchises invest in a larger staff, an analytics staff. Additional support for the coach and the endeavors of the team itself. That is a direct reflection on Art Rooney II, and that this is a $5-6 billion franchise. And market size shouldn't matter so much. It does play some role, but not with the revenue sharing that's equal amongst the teams in the league because of the massive amounts of TV revenue. There obviously are other sponsorship opportunities that the Cowboys are going to get that, say, the New Orleans Saints don't, or a team in, say, Nashville, Tennessee, even though Nashville's a growing city, and they've certainly they've got the hockey, they've got football, they've got an MLS franchise there. I know they want to add a Major League Baseball team for sure. I know that's something that is on the horizon. I know Major League Baseball would love to get into the Nashville market. They just haven't figured out a way to do so just yet. And in terms of expansion, I don't know if there's much more room to expand in Major League Baseball, to be quite honest with you. I don't think a talent pools there, but that's a topic for another day. Back to the Steelers anyhow. What did that defense do last night in the second half that was just so spectacular? Derek Harmon and Cam Hayward, what an effort to just derail what looked like an absolute murderer on the loose in Derrick Henry. I mean, he pummeled that defense in the first half. I think it was 116 yards rushing, and it was I thought it was doomsday. I really did, especially with that last play before halftime, right? I liked that they went for it. I just didn't like the call. It was a bad call, especially in the personnel package and the way they had that set up. Just keep in mind that they were able to overcome that last night. Would you have liked to have seen them take 3? Yeah, possibly. And Matty B stepping in here. I don't know what happened there, Matty B. I just right. Maybe we will get some sound here from Tomlin.
You ready? Whew, man. It's another one in the history of this series, man. It's an honor to be a part of this rivalry with that group. Got a lot of respect for them, man. Obviously, it was a 60-minute football game. But I'm just happy for those guys in that locker room. They fought and fought and fought, not only tonight, but throughout the entire journey. And so we move forward. I'm thankful for that. I'm excited about what lies ahead. Not only the game next week, but the work in front of it, because that's how we get there. That's how we engineer victory. The guys had a great week this week, and I think they put that on display. We supported one another. Certainly wasn't easy. Defense supported offense when offense needed to be supported. Offense supported defense when defense needed to be supported. And that's team. And we're AFC North champions. And that sounds good and it feels good. But we didn't come here for that. We came here for what lies ahead. And so excited about that. Thankful. Got some bumps and bruises associated with play. We'll assess that. I hear we got a Monday night game, which is great. It's an additional day. We're gonna need it. And I'll pause and open up for questions.
Mike, what did you guys do in the second half to shut down Derek? I think he only had 14 rushing yards in the second half.
You know, the guys just played hard. They did. I didn't feel like he was running wild in the first half, although his numbers said that he was. I think the two times we saw him this year, man, we worked hard to make him earn it. He's a special player. They're a special group in terms of what they do around him and in that phase of the game. And, you know, so you're not going to be able to shut him down all the time. But I thought we were game for the fight for sure.
What was it like to be in that moment with Aaron and the way he led them back?
You know, I've admired him from afar for a long time. It's good to do it with him. But again, as I've said multiple times here in recent weeks, this was the vision in the spring when we pursued him. That's why you do business with a 41, 42-year-old guy. Been there, done that. Guy with a resume like his. He's not only capable, man, he thrives in it. And I think he put that on display tonight.
Yeah, a lot of those 41 and 42 years into whatever was going on with the headset and the helmets on that goal to go series.
It's going to be challenges like that. There's always the unforeseen in this game. We dealt with it. It didn't prevent us from winning, and so we move on.
What did it mean to have T.J. Watt back and for him to make that splash play, interception?
You know, this series has been defined by great players, you know. Earlier this week, I was talking about T.J. and Lamar. You know, I didn't question whether either guy was going to show up, you know, because that's just the nature of this thing, man. Their relationship is tied together for life, man, just like Big Ben and Suggs. It's the men that make this rivalry what it is, and those two guys put that on display. Certainly, I'm glad TJ is with us, but tip of the cap to Lamar because he's a tremendous athlete and competitor.
Coach, talk about Boswell. I know you didn't prefer it the way everything went, but how the team actually picked Boswell up after Boswell won so many games for this team in the past.
It's just team. Like I said, we supported one another throughout. Offense, defense, special teams. That's what good teams do, and that's what we did tonight.
What did you see? What happened on the two long touchdowns to Zay Flowers? What kind of breakdown did you see?
It was good plays by them, negligence by us. On the first one, man, I thought we had Lamar in the backfield. He came out of I think two men had him, and so you respect that component of his game, and you know we probably overplayed the short yardage situation on the second one, but you know you just gotta compliment him for the talent and competitor that he is. He fought tooth and nail, man, to lead his team to victory, and you got to just respect that.
Coach, no DK Metcalf this game. Last game, you were only able to score 6 points. You scored 26 tonight. So what was the difference last week versus this week to be able to score 26 points?
As I said last week and leading up to this game, it was reasonable to expect us to be better. It's one more additional game without him. You don't stay the same. There's growth associated in last week's performance. If we change nothing, I expected us to be better. But certainly we're going to do whatever it is we need to do to get better and improve. Calvin Austin played in this one. He didn't play last week, and I think you felt the effects of him in game. And so that's just how it goes.
About the impact of Jalen Warren in that regard, especially some of those catches in the flat.
Man, we got two awesome backs, and their efforts are appreciated not only in the running game but in the passing game. And certainly Jalen was big, Kenny G was big. Just appreciative of that tandem.
Mike, you were asked on Tuesday about the fans. There's been a lot of negativity going around. It seemed like they showed up here tonight and for your defense. And do you feel like they had an impact on that last kick for a rookie in a big situation?
It's nothing like Acrisure in the friendly confines of Acrisure. And I'm just thankful for the support that we have and the environment that we had tonight. It was a legendary night in the history of this series. And so it's humbling to be a part of it.
You mentioned Aaron, being a player that thrives in the fight. How do you instill the fight, the whatever it takes mentality to the rest of the roster in a game like this where you need everybody?
You do business with people that have that in them. We turn stones over in the evaluation of talent, not only in terms of their skill, but their will and their relationship with the game. And you get people that love football, people that love the life, as opposed to the lifestyle, and you train them. And that's what we try to do.
Coach, talk about that 8 player, Cam Hayward, the type of performance he had today. He even went both ways.
Cam been here a long time. He's got a lot invested. He cares hard. I don't know what I can say about Cam that hadn't been said. He's a Steeler, man. He's a quintessential Steeler.
All right, that's a little bit from Mike Tomlin, the head football coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to thank Matty B for jumping in here. Matty B is the man behind It's a Wrap Sports. We are part of the It's a Wrap Sports Network. All things Philadelphia and Penn State, and I can't thank Matty for supporting us in this endeavor and all the shows that they do on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Again, they've got a variety of different programs like Philly Friday Frenzy with Al Zafiri. They've got Philly AM Sports with Al and Mike. That's on Sundays. Mike Loro also does a Penn State show and a Props, Locks, and Parlays program. We can't work we can't do this without It's a Wrap Sports. And again, just to give you an idea of some of the schedule that they have for this week, you can see the different shows that are available. Go follow It's a Wrap Sports on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and or TikTok. Okay, John Phillips with you, the Sports Unk. And this is Steel City Sunday, of course, our channel Steel City Sunday, but it is Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. And in just a few seconds, I'm going to bring Jerry DePaula in, the longtime writer from the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Of course, part of our extended pre-game coverage, was doing post-game for a little while, but we have shifted everybody over to the pregame because that's where our audience is. And there is Mr. DePaula. Good evening, sir.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing fine, Jerry. What a football game last night. I said, I could see absolutely best regular season football game I've ever seen, Jerry. How about you? That was a pretty good one. You've seen a lot of football.
I think so. It reminded me of the Cleveland playoff game many, many years ago. It was called Heinz Field at the time. Where the Steelers were Tommy Maddox was the quarterback, and they were behind 14 points, I believe. I'm trying to remember the year, 2002 maybe.
Yes.
And the Cleveland receiver dropped a pass on third down, and they forced the Browns to punt. They punted the way, and instead of running the clock out, and the Steelers came down and scored. Chris Malafala scored the winning touchdown that day.
Boy, I remember when he got drafted in '98. I was actually working for the Steelers flagship at the time over on Ardmore Boulevard, and Bill DeFabio, Ed Bouchette, Bill Hillgrove, Jim Penna was doing afternoons at the time.
Who was?
Jim Penna. Jim Penna, he's out of Altoona, PA.
Okay.
Those days back in '97, '98, when they went from News Talk to All Sports was quite the scene. But I remember Fuamatu Ma'afala being drafted that year in '98.
They called him Foo.
They called him Foo. That's absolutely correct. Maybe the best game since then, perhaps, inside the building. Certainly the best regular season game that I've seen in my lifetime. I don't know if I can recall. Well, the Oilers, I will say that the Oilers, the Steelers beat the Houston Oilers 21-20 in 1992. I happened to be at that game. That was as good a game, maybe on par with that. That particular game, Rod Woodson knocked Warren Moon out of that contest with a blistering hit. I was an intern at a TV station in Erie, and it was nice because I could cover the Browns, cover the Bills. That was in their heyday run, and went down and saw the Steelers, and that was a pretty darn good. I don't know if I've ever been in a building that loud before. For what it's worth, the old concrete building that Three Rivers was, it could get pretty loud inside there.
Oh yeah, because all the sound stayed in there because it was a bowl.
Yeah. So that might be the next best regular season game that I've actually watched. But last night's was certainly a thriller. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, would you buy another year of him, Jerry?
Well, I would because I'm not sure where else the Steelers could go to find a quarterback. First of all, they're going to draft no higher, 19 or lower, okay? And you're not going to find a quarterback, at least none of the very good ones, 19 or lower, unless you get lucky and find somebody that slipped through the cracks, and that's hard to do. And as far as free agents goes, who the free agent quarterback is going to be? Kyler Murray? No, you don't want him. Joe Flacco? No, you don't want him. I guess they could do. If Rodgers doesn't want to play, you could go with Mason Rudolph for a year, I guess. With Will Howard backing him up, and you see what you got for the future. But boy, I tell you what, the way Rodgers plays when the chips are down, I can't. If he wants to play, I'm bringing. If I'm Dan Rooney and Omar Khan, or Art Rooney and Omar Khan, I'm bringing him back. Definitely bringing him back if he truly wants to play. Now, does he really want to play? I mean, he's putting his heart and soul into these last couple games, trying to will the Steelers to victory, which he pretty much did last night. I just love the way the intensity on his face when the chips are down, and he's putting, not just his physical attributes in his body into the game, but his mental acumen. And I think, to me, he's the smartest quarterback in history of the game, as far as I'm concerned. And plus, he has a great arm that is still very, very, very viable. And the way he thread the needle to a couple of those passes, one to Freiermuth and the one to Thielen, unbelievable.
Thielen, yeah.
And you got to give Calvin Austin a lot of credit in that touchdown. Everybody talked about, oh my God, the Steelers need a second wide receiver. What are we going to do? DK Metcalf isn't playing. You know what? Calvin Austin ran a great route because he just had a stop and go thing, and the cornerback fell. Otherwise, the cornerback runs with him, and that's maybe an incomplete pass or an interception. But he ran a great route, and they got the winning touchdown pass. So, there's been times this season when the Steelers needed a second wide receiver, especially last week in Cleveland. But you got to give Calvin Austin his credit last night for making the play when it mattered.
Boy, he did make an incredible play. Well, that stop and go really was the difference. I mean, that poor defensive back lost his footing, and it was all over right there. And yeah, that dime he threw to Thielen over the middle, and the Steelers throwing over the middle, that pass to Freiermuth deep down the middle of the field,
that's
right?
The key.
Set up the Kenny Gainwell touchdown. I really like his football knowledge, and you say maybe the most intelligent quarterback, or I forget how you phrase it exactly.
Smartest quarterback in the history of the game. I mean,
Tom Brady was pretty smart too, but you're right. He is. He just has something obviously left in the tank. And, look, I don't want to get too much into the Houston matchup just yet. It's so early in the week. I like how things are setting up. It's much like last week when they lost to Cleveland coming into this game and the dominant performance that, the Ravens had. I said, this is exactly where Tomlin wants to be. But if you look at the setup for right now, Houston opened up a 3-point favorite. They're currently 3.5. I would imagine that line will get to 4 and eventually 4.5 by game time. It might even touch 5 for all we know. And nobody so far has said anything about everybody's up that Houston's on to the divisional. Houston's, haven't lost a home playoff game on Monday night, or haven't lost a game on Monday night in 23 straight games.
Right? 23 in a row.
23 straight games.
Pretty amazing.
Right? You know what I mean? The Tomlin as a dog is so superior. Like all of these things that we talked about this past week are going to be in play again this week. So I want to hold off on all of that right now, but I like how the early stages of things. And, and again, I guess we'll dive a little into Houston. They're offensively, they don't scare you. Right, you know
their
what I mean?
running game.
Yeah, their running game is not that explosive, and look, C.J. Stroud has had a better third year than he did last year. Obviously, the rookie year he had was incredible. But this is a dome team heading north to play on the road. They have not won a playoff game on the road as a franchise. So there's that to talk about as well. I guess early indications for me, favor something positive for Pittsburgh. But, just to get back to the game last night, I want to talk a little bit about the defense. I want to talk about what they did to stop Derrick Henry in the second half. He ran roughshod over them in the first half. I think it was 15 carries for 116 yards, something like that, 19 carries for 116 yards or something to that nature. I think they held him to 5 carries and 15 yards in the second half. And a lot of that had to do with how Derek Harmon and Cam Hayward really played a big role in all of that and slowing him down tremendously in those last 2 quarters.
People talked a lot about in the last year's draft how the Steelers needed to draft a quarterback. There was a lot of sentiment for drafting Jackson Dart, from Ole Miss. But the Steelers went with Derek Harmon at defensive tackle because they really had to become a team that stopped the run, because the Ravens run the ball well. Cleveland likes to run the ball. You need that might, that strength up the middle, and Harmon gave it to him. We talked about Henry. 126 yards for the game. What did he say he had at halftime? 113, or was it?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so maybe 10 or 15 yards in the second half from Derrick Henry, who just flattened the Green Bay Packers the week before on the road. To me, I tweeted it last night. People talk about the Steelers being lucky because the kid kicker Loop missed the field goal at the end. And yeah, there was a big element of luck involved in that. But the way they stopped Derrick Henry from taking over that game in the second half was just as significant as anything the Ravens did to lose that game, because the Steelers did a lot to win it, starting with holding Henry down and continue on to the way Gainwell and Warren played. And Warren just runs over people. He doesn't go down with one hit. And then Aaron Rodgers, throwing the 3 big touchdown passes to win the game when the chips were down. And you got to give, it was a team victory all the way. Maybe the special teams needs to go to work for Chris Boswell. He used to be automatic, and now all of a sudden he's missing kicks in key moments.
He is.
Huge. That would have been a real shame if they lost the way.
Yeah, and I talked about that. I talked about it in the pregame show. I think we talked about that, you, me, and actually John Fedko a little bit. Dylan Green checking in. He's got a question about the secondary and fixing the breakdowns. We'll get to that in the second in a few seconds here, Dylan. That was actually something I did want to mention to Jerry. Yeah, Boswell concerns me right now. It has not. He's had some gaffes. I know there was a bad snap in one of those, but, last night was concerning. And I don't want to say that I felt like when Tyler Loop was lining up to kick that potential game-winning field goal that he was going to make that thing. Obviously, in the back of people's minds, what had just happened a few moments prior on the other side of the stadium, there was really no wind, according to the reports of the people that were at the game that I had seen. I talked to a couple people actually today that were there, and they indicated to me that they didn't feel like there was any wind. So, those balls went really weird, real bad hooks, stuck hooks almost, if you will.
I don't think Luke hit it square, did he? I think he might have scraped the ground before he hit the ball.
It's possible. I know there were a couple breakdowns online today. I've been checking out a few different Steelers-centric YouTube channels, and one of them had an interesting breakdown on the actual kick itself. Looking at the player's head and his posture and his leg sweep and all of that. And that's very possible. He may have caught a little turf on the way down.
I think he
Or
did.
yeah. So and obviously that's tough. And the poor young man, his poor girlfriend getting abused on social media.
People are
and
nuts, John.
yeah, they are absolutely. They're crazy. No question about it. And I give credit to where it's due. His teammates really stepping up for him. I mean, that's a tough spot as a rookie to be in for sure. For anybody in what is arguably the hardest stadium in the National Football League to kick in.
Speaking of Acrisure, maybe somebody tweeted last night that maybe the Pitt football team helped out by beating down that turf a little bit, and maybe Luke didn't have the greatest footing in the world when he went to kick because there's so many games, high school games, and Pitt football games on that turf before last night. Maybe it has something to do with that. I think it was a joke, more or less, but still something to think about because that turf isn't the greatest.
Maybe 11 or 12 games that were not Steelers related, maybe 11 or 12. I mean,
This time of year with the weather,
I think you've been to Green Bay. Look what they do up there in that weather. I mean, the condition they keep that field in is immaculate.
Yeah,
and they're a couple hundred miles north. They have a real sophisticated system, and I think they need it just because of the weather, generally speaking. But that turf is immaculate up there. Having been able to, kind of walk around up there. But Jerry DePaula kind of joined us. We'll keep him for a few more minutes, and then we'll head into the last 10, 15 minutes of the show before we get wrapped up just before 8 p.m. Let's talk about the breakdown in the secondary. I mean, obviously the first touchdown to Zay Flowers, the one where Lamar was able to break away from Highsmith, who was I felt looked like I was going to be a clear sack, and was able to dart that ball. He was just wide open. I think that was more of a breakdown, just because the quarterback was able to make a play. And look, you give somebody 8-9 seconds. That play was probably 8 or 9 seconds before he, 7 or 8 seconds at least before he threw the football. Somebody's going to get open at some point in time. But let's just go to that last pass that set up the potential game-winning field goal. I think it was Patrick Queen who had deep coverage back there. I didn't think he made a very good play on that particular pass.
Ramsey was there too, wasn't he?
Maybe it was Jalen Ramsey. I take that back. So Ramsey, back playing deep down there, but I don't think he made a good play on that ball. I think he could have defended that fourth down play a little bit better.
You know what's weird about all those passes last night and some of the passes during the season? That's a veteran secondary the Steelers have. There's no kids in that secondary anymore. Joey Porter Jr. is the youngest, and he's probably the one playing better than anybody else. But with Ramsey and Samuels and Kyle Duggar, those guys have been around. They're not rookies. And the communication has to be a problem right now. And Terrell Austin, a veteran defensive coordinator, and Mike Tomlin, it's his defense. He's been around forever, 19 years. You think that the defense wouldn't have those bust ups like they had last night? Because that one pass, the second touchdown pass to Flowers, it was incredible how wide open he was. Chris Collinsworth showed it on TV, and it was a huge, massive land there.
20 yards.
Yeah, he could have walked into the end zone. And it's a shame because this team, it shouldn't happen. Now, Lamar Jackson showed why he's a two-time MVP, and I think it's I got him on my fantasy team, but I was even thinking about putting him up for trade this offseason, but not anymore. I think the guy can still play when he's healthy, and if that game had gone another 5 minutes, the Steelers would have lost.
Probably, you're right. They would have put the ball.
They weren't stopping him. They might have went right in and scored a touchdown rather than stop and try to kick a field goal.
Yeah, if there were another 30 or 40 seconds, they absolutely probably could have put that ball in the end zone. No question about it. I was going to save this question for Monday next week, but I'm going to pose it to you. I spent a lot of time listening to the fan today, and obviously the euphoria of the victory, and somebody obviously posed the question, is the season successful even if they lose on Sunday, and if or on Monday, and if they do win, is the season successful? If they win on Monday, is the season successful? And I don't think it should be measured in whether it's successful or not, because let's just be honest, if they do win on Monday, if they win this playoff game and then they go and lose in the divisional, is it more appropriate to look at it as progress as opposed to success? Because we haven't won a playoff game in 8 years, and that's all well and good. Let's say they do win that game, but then they lose on the road in the divisional round. Should we be looking at that as progress instead of success or failure? If they do, they don't go on and win a Super Bowl or get to a conference championship game. I'm just kind of curious how you feel about that.
I think
that's all they do.
I think that the word progress is much better than the word success. If they win this one over Houston and lose the next one. Now, if they lose the Houston, they're right back where they were last year. They were 10-7 going into the playoffs last year. They had a road game against Baltimore, and they didn't show up for that game. They got pushed around like rag dolls. And if this game, if they lose a close game to Houston, won't be quite as bad. But we'll get the same old stuff from the fans. Get rid of Tomlin. Omar Khan doesn't know what he's doing. You got to get a young quarterback in there. Blah blah blah. Fire this guy, fire that guy. It's going to come back. I'll come around. Everyone's going to forget about this big game last night if they don't beat Houston, even if it's a close game. People aren't going to, because people are dying for, first of all, a playoff victory, and they want to get back to a Super Bowl because they feel it's their God-given right as Pittsburghers that my team must be a winning team. And I think that's something that's going to be thrown up again if they ended up losing to Houston. But if they beat Houston and then lose the next game, that might cool the embers a little bit.
One last question before I let you go. Have you been enjoying the hoopla behind Father Maximilian?
I know.
Maximilian Maxwell.
Maxwell, absolutely.
And his blessing of the field with the holy water. He
blessed both end zones. I mean, somebody was saying he blessed the end zone where Luke missed a field goal, but I think before the game he blessed both end zones, if I'm not mistaken.
They showed the wrong end zone in the pregame or at least at the postgame. But yeah.
I remember, covering training camp all those years, and the priests and the monks would come out and watch practice in their black long robes when it's 95 degrees out there, and they were great guys. We talked to them all the time, and I've written stories about them, and it's a great campus up there. A lot of great people in St. Vincent, but they got to bring them back this week, right? The Father Max has to come back and start, maybe go out to the 50-yard line and give blessings to the guys at the coin toss.
I can assure you right now, somewhere in the ABC pregame show, they will probably have a small feature. I can almost guarantee you they're gonna track them down. And it is a great story. It is, and it
almost makes me wish I was still working. Well, almost.
You might be able to make a call and find a gig, Jerry, if you did so.
Maybe. I don't know.
You probably want to stay retired.
I like doing this with you, John. That makes me happy.
Listen, I appreciate working. It's good to work with you again, Jerry. And you're very kind with your time, and I do appreciate you coming on the show this evening. Jerry DePaula, longtime writer here in Pittsburgh for the Tribune Review, joins us, of course, on our pregame show. He's paired up with John Fedko. It is a absolute Donnybrook when those two are on with me. I love the banter. Jerry, thank you for your time this evening. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Anytime, John. We'll talk to you Monday.
Okay, yes, Monday. Jerry DePaula, part of our pregame coverage. Steel City Sunday, 3 p.m., live from the North Park Lounge, Richland Hilltop Event Center. We will have 5 hours of pregame. 5 hours of pregame for you on Monday. All right, about 10 more minutes left, and then we will wrap this one up for our show here. Don't forget, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, we will be back on the air with another edition of Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. You'll be able to watch us tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I will get with Matty B. I will have some things figured out. We will have Tomlin Tuesday. We will have Presser. We will have Mike Tomlin Presser. We will probably bring you a good 10 or 15 minutes of that. So as a recap, I will make sure that we are good to go on that end. I want to make sure that we carry some of that Tomlin press conference tomorrow here on Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. So we'll have that for you tomorrow. And in addition to that, working on guests for the new year. I've got some emails out to a few people. I want to just try to continue to provide good content and programming. It's Pittsburgh related, but sometimes I might veer off a little bit. and bring on a guest that may not be directly tied to Pittsburgh, but it's my show and I might want to interview somebody. Hoping to have some pretty cool guests here in the next few weeks. And like I said, come the springtime, as we get into March, some announcements in terms of additional programming and things that we want to do for you folks, because we enjoy it. It's quite frankly, this has been an absolute blast. I've loved every minute of it. I have no delusions of grandeur. I know that these types of things take time to build, but I've committed the next 5 years, assuming I am still walking the face of the earth and I haven't been, jettisoned into outer space, or I'm 6 feet under. Although I'm not going to be buried when I die, I've already made the commitment to being cremated and having my ashes spread somewhere in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. We will continue to provide content, pregame shows, talk shows. It's all going to be live. That's what we're trying to do. Portions of today's show, folks, are brought to us by Arch Masonry and Restoration. Arch Masonry and Restoration is hiring concrete finishers, bricklayers, and block layers here in Pittsburgh. 412-564-5733. You can also visit their website at archmasonryinc.com. Arch Masonry and Restoration has been a proud sponsor of Steel City Sunday since the beginning of the season. And, without companies like that helping us to bring you this type of stuff, we can't do the show. It's pretty simple. All right. It looks like we got another comment that we have in here. Keep it coming, John. John, you're doing a great job. Thanks, Dylan. We appreciate you guys getting the word out. We appreciate you subscribing and liking. Our YouTube channel has hit over 100 subscribers. I was very excited. I wasn't sure if we'd get to 100 by the end of the season. YouTube has been a struggle for us, but I'm going to just tell you right now, almost 600 views on YouTube yesterday, combined from various different locations, because I do spend a little bit of time early in the show putting the link to the show out on various Facebook pages, and there are some Steelers-centric pages that are willing to allow that link to go up. So it helps, and yesterday we had a nice group of people just watching through the course of the day. I know that our crowds here on Mondays and Tuesdays are going to be small, but I think in 3 months I expect it to be bigger, and we're just going to continue to just try to pump out the programming, and hopefully you folks like it. Dylan saying meet Jerry and Fedko. They are must-watch television. They are must-watch television. I can tell you right now, having spent 3 years working with John Fedko closely at WPXI when it was on Television Hill, right? They have a beautiful, shiny, it's not as new now, but they have a nice, shiny location right off of 279 as you're heading up that way. It sits right up there up on the hill. And but the old days up on Television Hill, just working closely with John, because I produced his Phone Zone. I produced Steeler Huddle. I produced Bill Cowher News Conference. That was with Craig Wolfley. May he rest in peace. A good man that Craig was. John hosted all of that stuff. I produced all of that stuff for him. But he hasn't missed a beat. He doesn't look a day. He's 65 apparently, and he doesn't look like he looks like he's in his 40s. He's as fit as can be, and he's got the energy of 100 men. It's just the best. And pairing him with Jerry DePaula, it's like the point counterpoint. It really is. It's the yin and the yang. And I just, I want to make sure that, we continue to bring this show out each week. And as long as those two are willing and are capable, we're going to continue to put them on the air each week, because it's just too funny to, it's good programming. It's good content. It really is. It's enjoyable. I have a good time just sitting back. I don't have to really do much that particular hour of the show. I just kind of let those two talk, and it works itself out. And when you're doing 5 hours like I did yesterday, I'm going to tell you right now, 3 hours is no problem. There was a point right in the middle of the show where I let Bill take over, Bill Akins, who produces. I let him take over, and I pulled myself off the air, and I went and used the restroom, grabbed us a couple waters. 5 hours without any commercial breaks is a heavy lift. Okay. Right. And these guys that are on YouTube, and I just want to kind of go back. I don't care about promoting people that have 100,000, followers. This young kid, Jack Sperry, is pretty good. I like watching. I watched him last night. I've seen him on X. He's got a huge following on his Steelers TV page on YouTube, and he does a 2-hour pregame show now. I think in a regular season he started off with one, but as the season dragged on, he apparently has added a second hour. He does the entire football game. He literally calls the play-by-play, right? And he's got a couple thousand people, depending on, who's popping in and out, 1,000, 2,000, maybe 3,000, 4,000, maybe 5,000 people at a time. Last night, I think he peaked when I was watching him. I hit a bunch of different ones, but Jack had maybe like 3,000 people watching him at one time, and it was interesting, to see what goes on. People go to YouTube for short videos and things like that, but there's thousands and thousands of people that are just hanging out on these pages, and they're hanging out with people like a Jack Sperry or the urinating tree. I'm excited to have that guy on our pregame on Monday. He'll be on at 5:00. That guy's got 700,000 subs on his YouTube channel, and he's got an interesting story, and he's a native Pittsburgher too. So I'm excited to have that for Monday as well. We're going to continue to book guests throughout the course of the rest of the week. I'm going to have a full complement of people. My goal is to have 15 guests lined up for Monday. 15 guests. I've determined that this is the path of our show when it comes to Steelers pregame. I don't see myself venturing into the realm of calling a game and then doing a post-game show and doing 7, 8, 9 hours. I think our strength is going to lie in the pregame, hours ahead of everybody else. I think that's the path for us when it comes to pregame, and again, building out content and other shows like this. My day job is very demanding and taxing. I have to focus on it every single day. I don't take days off from it, to be quite honest with you, and that's okay because they pay me handsomely, and I know I'm not going to make that kind of money even doing this over the next 5 years. I have no delusions of grandeur at 56. I don't anticipate ever having a channel that's going to be, 50, 100, 250,000 people, right? If I can build a channel that gets to 5, 10,000 people, I'd be pretty happy about that, because my day job is what I do to make a living and take care of my family. But I'm having a blast doing it. You folks make it enjoyable with all your comments and where we've gone in the last 2 weeks, to see where we've gone just on our YouTube channel in terms of our audience, okay, has been just exciting to me. Last week I think we had like 350 views. This week close to 600, and I anticipate next week for the playoff game we might even touch 1,000, and that's exciting stuff to be able to get to that point. In less than 18 broadcasts, we actually missed 2. I had to go to the emergency room, and we missed the Lions game. So, to actually have done 15 shows and to get to where we're at right now is pretty exciting. All right, this is the wrap up of the show tonight. I want to thank everybody for hanging out this evening. It's been a real pleasure. I hope to see you folks tomorrow night. I may have a guest. We'll see. We're definitely going to have Mike Tomlin's sound from Mike Tomlin's from his Tomlin Tuesday press conference. We'll have that for you. That's all at 7 o'clock tomorrow night here on Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. I want to thank Jerry DePaula for joining me this evening. I want to thank all of you who were in the comment section chatting it up. My name is John Phillips. We will talk with you tomorrow. This is Pittsburgh Sports Tonight on the It's a Wrap Sports Network.